It's about time we gave a little bit of an update to the Commander investment tier list. I haven't done it since April. We've gotten all these new commanders. We need to know what to invest in, right? We need to know what we want to put our sculptures in, what we want to focus on in the wheel, how we want to get MGEs and all that stuff. So stick around because this is the video that's going to break it all down, and I'm going to show you the level of importance when you factor in all those new commanders right now.
Marching right from the zone to the zone, I stay in control. Man of the people, all heart, no roll, no script, no throne, just rhythm and fire. Built for the push, never gonna tire. You feel that burn, and you already know we're locked in deep. This is Chatsky mode. This is Chatsky mode.
Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I do videos all the time and love putting out this content. Love being able to help the community and give you real rock life application. If you enjoy these videos, throw a thumbs up on them, give them a like. Helps out the channel a ton. And also, if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. We busted through 60,000 subscribers, continuing to grow the community. And hit that bell if you want any alerts when I put out this type of content. Got to get those PSAs out of the way. Now, let's get to it, shall we? These are all the commanders we have gotten. And we've gotten some new ones. We've gotten new ones like Hector. Okay, we've gotten new ones. Let me see. I've got them way down here on my main. On my other account, there's Achilles. I have Hector. There's Gang. We've got all kinds of different commanders that have now come into the game and given us different options, okay? And so the previous commander tier list that I did really kind of focused on a lot of the new commanders at the time. You had Arthur, you had Philip, you had BQ, you had all these commanders, and now we're adding to it, and we need to know exactly what to do with the investment. So a couple of things of note here that I want to make sure people understand. I am not going to include gold key commanders in this, okay? Gold key commanders are really easy commanders that you can get through the gold keys. You can get sculptures from them, all the legendary gold key commanders and all those things. You can see it in here on the gold key. All these commanders here, they're generally early game commanders, but there's some serviceable. Mulan and Canyon, very serviceable. Pyrus in some instances. Mehmed people are running as a makeshift. CC is obviously one that people still use for runes and Ark of Osiris. And then, of course, Charles Martel for some of those makeshift counterattack garrisons or counter rallies. So I'm not going to include any of these commanders. And I'm also not going to include commanders that are just old and we do not mess with, okay? This is all going to be about fielding. It's all going to be about the new commanders and what those investments are going to be, because some things have changed quite a bit with the release of Achilles and David and Hector and all these cavalry commanders. They have gone all in on combo. Okay, so it's going to change things when it comes to the skill damage commanders for cavalry. They took a massive hit. Okay, because Huo cannot carry things anymore like he used to. He has to have Arthur to help him. Arthur's very unique. He can be both combo and skill damage. So there's a lot of things that have changed on your investments and what you want to do. Okay, so let's go to the tier list, and we're going to kind of figure out exactly where we want to place some commanders and the level of importance of those commanders, and that's what we will do. Let me pull this thing up. This is our tier list, commander tier list. This is for investments, okay? Now, the S plus category should just be the chin category. In fact, that's what we're going to call it here, S plus chin. He is by far and away still above the rest. He is the most powerful commander in the game. He's great in the field. People are using him in rallies. I don't know why. It kind of gets wrecked, but counter rallies, you can kind of use him, maybe garrisons, but he's just so overpowered since he's come into the game. Nothing's gotten close, okay? And there's a level of commanders that are busted good. They're must maxes. You gotta have them. And they're still not quite to the chin level. All right, so that's where we put Chin. He's at the very, very top. He's still at the very, very top. He is literally the commander that no matter what you're doing, stop what you're doing and go get this guy maxed. He's that good. He can carry bad gear. He can carry any commander you put him with. It does not matter. That's how powerful he is. So Chin stays a cut above everybody else. From there, including Chin, we have five must commanders. 5 commanders at the very top end, and they've really distinguished themselves. Okay? And those 5 commanders include Chin. But now we've got Achilles. Achilles has come out into the game now, and he is crazy good, guys. Crazy good. He's got great damage. Obviously, 5 circle AoE damage that he does. That is really, really good. His expertise fires off a ton. He just, DPS per second, he lays down so much damage. He's cavalry. He's fast. He's combo. He triggers all those combo things that combo commanders do. You can run him with Arthur, which is honestly, outside of Chin marches, it's like the best march in the game right now. People have been running it in Zone 5s. People just ran it over the weekend in Kingsland, and it's off the charts. Okay, so Achilles provides that. He is on that BQ, Luce, Arthur level. Okay, and so I would rank him just above BQ and Luce, but that's just me. I'm more of a Cav guy, but that is where he's at as far as his level of importance. You really want to go do this. Now, let me make sure I've just got my no crops here. That's good. Okay, so Achilles right at the top, y'all. I put BQ and Luce right behind him. Now, some people would have Luce just ahead of BQ as far as the power level or the investment level you go into, but I like to run it this way. So those are your top 3 investments outside of Chin. And then from there, you've got Arthur. All right. Arthur is finally being able to unlock with other great commanders. Now, we've seen Arthur do crazy stuff in Artifact KVKs. You go put Luce behind Arthur and you run the combos with the smite. It's crazy good. You go put Arthur behind like Zuge in a Artifact KVK. It does wild stuff with Arthur's skill damage as a secondary. Arthur's super powerful. Super powerful. And those are your 5 best commanders, and it's like not even close from there. You know, those 5 have done really, really good. Now, I say not even close. For the majority of the other commanders, it's not even close. However, there are some that have now entered the chat, okay? Well, I'm going to put up Gang Gang. All right, Gang Gang's going to be an A tier. This is more kind of finite to Cav commanders or Cav players, but Gang Gang does provide some great things into the field because he gives massive sustain. He gives massive sustain with his Starlight effect. All right, this is really some of the cool stuff he's got where he does some healing, and his expertise to go along with his active skill increases the Starlight healing by 150%. So when you put him with a high damage commander, you put Gang Gang behind Arthur, good combo march. You put Gang Gang with Achilles, either as Gang Gang first primary or Achilles primary. Doesn't really matter. There's a little bit of nuance there when it comes to how often you want to fire that off, but that'll come in a Gang Gang guide that I do. But Gang Gang style is really here to help lay down big single target damage and do a ton of healing. He's got a ton of defensive stats. He's running up the defense to 30%. Very tanky, and he provides a healing. So he's a little bit different than Shajar, all right, because he does what Shajar does, but he does it together. All right, Shajar has been regarded as kind of a bust commander, okay? And when I say bust, I don't mean busted. I just meant like boom or bust. She wasn't very good in the field. There is a little bit of application for her. You can run a primary and do 2,800 damage factor, but you lose her big healing when you do that. When you run her secondary, that's all she does is healing. She doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. All right, so when it comes to Gang Gang, he does both. Okay, and that's what makes him unique from Shajar. He does big single target damage, 3,000 damage factor. He's tanky like Shajar, plus he also gives the healing effect. All right, and the healing effect is very, very important because his active skill, like I said, is going to increase that healing effect. So Gang Gang, new commander, he is not like a stop what you're doing must have. All right, he's at that A tier level. If you're working on commanders and you have a bunch of tickets to roll and spin and you've got everything else, he's a good one to go get to help bolster your cavalry marches and your cavalry commanders. So we put him in the A category. In addition to that, I put Hector and Philip in the A category as well. Philip, I told you back over a year ago when he came into the game, he's going to have some sustain just because he's so versatile. And he still is, even to this day. So versatile. He's going to stay in that really good A level of investment. All right. I put Hector a little bit ahead of him because you can use Hector in multiple different ways. You can use him in garrison. You can use him in a lot of different areas. You can use him for city garrison. You can use him as part of the meta with infantry garrison right now with Gorgo, especially with mix. It's really, really good. In addition to that, he's going to be extremely good with this guy here and David. Okay, and so from there, people have to understand that you're going to have a mixed cavalry garrison coming too. But for the field, he's not really a Philip, and he's not really a gang. All right, so for the field, so what you have to understand with Hector is that he does big damage, but he's so versatile. You can put him just about anywhere. And let me kind of help explain here. When it comes to Hector, I said Philip. No, I'm talking about Hector. When it comes to Hector, he does smite as a smite commander. So you put him behind BQ or Luce, he's going to do smite. You put him behind Arthur, Achilles, or Gang, he's going to do combo. Okay, so he's extremely versatile. All right, and he's got these little buffs and debuffs that attach to his active skills. Now, they're nowhere near the Philip level. Okay, but Hector as a single march is always going to do better. I'm running him on my second account. I've tested him with BQ. Great. It's really, really good. It does better than my BQ Philip. I've tested him with Arthur. Does really, really well with Arthur. I've tested him with Achilles and the same thing. So he's kind of a Philip 2.0, but he doesn't quite buff like Philip does. However, for the particular march he's on, he's going to make that march better and give you better reports in the open field. That's just kind of what he's built for. So we know that. So that's why I put him just ahead of Philip. But these three commanders right here are kind of the best of the rest. All right, Gang, not quite up to this level, but because of his serviceability, the fact that he's able to give you a lot of sustain for cavalry marches, we keep him at the A tier. He just doesn't do AoE, okay? And since these guys do a lot of damage and he does a little bit of buffing, he does a ton of buffing, where Philip is still a great enhancer, you leave those at the A level because I see these three right here being able to be used in the game for a long time. I think we're still going to get at least a year of serviceability out of Philip. Same thing with Hector. Hector, the more we do smite commanders, the more we do combo commanders, and the more they stick to skill damage commanders for archers, you're going to be able to use Hector for any one of those. So that's why I put those three as kind of the best of the rest. All right. And then I've got these two cats in the B category. Not really telling people to go invest in those guys, but I think they're still a cut above. Zuge and Herman, still for archers, are still a cut above the dailies. Okay. The dailies section is going to be, hey, you don't necessarily go put a ton into these commanders, but you're able to just use them for the dailies. Maybe go get some spins from them, from MG. But these two guys here are just a little bit ahead. They're just a cut above the daily section, okay? And so from there, if you have some spins and you want to go ahead and get Zuge, you want to run a second Archer March, you've already run Chen, you might be running him with YSG, you might be running Chen with Zuge, but you have YSG. Now you can pull in YSG, you can move Zuge and run him with Herman, you can run Zuge with Philip in those instances. These two really help you get a second Archer March on the field. That's why I kind of put them a cut above the dailies. All right, then we come to the dailies. All right, and these are the dailies that I'm going to put kind of in order of importance, but Ash is a niche, but he's still great on the field. So people use him in the field. He's still decent for dailies. Let me go ahead and run all these guys up here. My Ragnar's like a blockhead over here. We're going to put all these commanders in the dailies, okay? These are commanders you don't want to go max spin the wheel on. You don't want to invest in. You don't want to really do much of anything in. I've got, let's see, I will put Guan at the back. And so these are your kind of don't invest in type commanders, okay? You don't want to skip these commanders up here, especially in the Chen, S, and A categories. Do not skip these commanders to invest in these guys, all right? They're kind of falling off. The cavalry really got a big hit, like I said, because they're not going skill damage. And they just had a Q&A with the developers to where they said, hey, new formations for skill damage and stuff, look at the first half of 2026. So they pushed that back. So we got at least a handful of months before we get new skill damage formations that we thought, hey, it might make Huo relevant, maybe with Joan, or maybe with Belly, or maybe we can keep Arthur with Huo and we can run a really good skill damage cavalry march with a new formation. But that's not the case for the next foreseeable future. I'll have another investment tier list within the next 4 or 5 months, probably before we get those formations. And so from that standpoint, we're in a situation to where we got to identify these guys as our dailies. I mentioned Ash. He could also go in the niche category. I mentioned Wallace. He's kind of niche because you can run him as a smite damage rally with CPO Emilianus. Plus, Wallace still does decent in the field. Like, for those who still run them, I try to phase them out. I try to run, like, now on my second account, Hector instead of Wallace. But when I put Wallace, either in front of Luce or behind BQ, it still just does really, really well. And so Wallace is just a good, solid commander. However, you don't go skip these guys to go invest in Wallace. Just run them on the dailies. YSG, great for the dailies. Okay, YSG gives you a lot of different things. He's a one-trick pony because he's going to run with Chen. But the Chen YSG march is super, super powerful. So if you're looking to get 2 archer marches out there, you got to kind of add YSG to the mix. That's just how that works, okay? So I put him up here. I put Attila here. And people get mad sometimes when I talk about Attila, okay? You can run Attila in the dailies. He provides you a city rally. Everybody needs a city rally. No matter who you are or how you play, you need to have commanders ready to go for a city rally because anybody can run them. Now, big, powerful cities, those are hard to do. You need to leave those to your rally players, but you can go find a 45, 50 million power farm or low power 60 million power player offline when you've cut territory or something. It's always good to have an Attila. Plus, he provides a lot of serviceability with the Cavs. When you start running 2 and 3 Cav marches, Attila is wonderful with the new combo commanders. So that's why we've got Attila here with the dailies. Plus, I love him. He's part of the Cav rally meta right now. He's probably going to be part of the Cav garrison meta once David gets released, and we'll test all that stuff for you. But that was my prediction with David. I'll have a card in the top when it came to David and how he's going to kind of change the garrisoning game for Ark of Osiris, for KVK, just a lot of things that he's able to do. I put Ragnar here. Rip Ragnar, man. I mean, more and more smites coming out. You can still run a Ragnar with CPO skill damage for your infantry, but that is where I've got Ragnar. You don't want to invest in him. You don't want to go put, wheel tickets into him. He's been out for over a year. He's been good. He's been part of the meta, kind of still part of the meta, but that's probably going to change when we get the new infantry commanders in January, because we're going to get another smite field commander, and that's probably going to knock Ragnar and CPO off the blocks. I don't run CPO anymore. I refuse to. I put Philip behind Ragnar, and that's how I like to run my Ragnar, and that's how it works. So Huo, Joan, Belly, William. These are all 4 commanders kind of in that best of the rest, or the best of your skill damage cavalry commanders, and they're not commanders you want to go invest in. Like, stop what you're doing and go invest in. You want to invest in these guys, okay? In the direction of the game for cavalry, you know where that's going. That's going combo. All right. And so from there, you don't want to keep dumping heads into Huo Joan. Just do not do that. You can grab them on the dailies. That's fine. Things might change down the road. If you still run a skill damage march, that's fine. Just keep going with it. But do not invest in that. Okay. I've got CJ over here on the dailies, and I love CJ. And if you're looking for another smite commander, maybe you run 2 smite marches, or maybe you try to run 3 smite marches. He's great. He really is. And he's a good investment to have, especially because you can get him in the early game. And I love to run this guy. Anybody that knows me knows that I love CJ and some of the little nuances, his third skill, some of the things he loves to do. All right, CPO's, he's getting old. 3-year-old commander. Can't use him anymore. And that's just my opinion on that. You can grab them in the dailies if you want to. Some people like to still use them for Arc and OL. They run like CPO with Philip behind them for buffing and debuffing with his 30% health debuff, but not one I would invest in. You can grab the dailies for them if you want to. This is kind of your, hey, just throw away money. And that's basically what it is. You're just throwing it away. But if you're getting the dailies, you get it for the AP and things like that, and you want to work on commanders, these are the commanders you can work on. Nevsky, getting older and older. Alex has some serviceability, especially still with Luce, but just sticking with the dailies. Guan is pretty much DOA. Do you know what DOA stands for? It's dead on arrival. Guan is gone, y'all. If you're running Canyon and you're a Canyon junkie, you can still use Guan, and he's still pretty good with his silence, but you're not running this guy in the field. There's just no way. But now we've got our niche commanders, and we're going to put these here. These are your garrisons and rallies, all right? I put, David at the top because he's going to be the most powerful garrison once he's released, all right? He's the newest, most powerful. We put him up there. I've got all the different garrisons in here. I've got some of the rallies in here. I've also got Shajar in here, and let me kind of help explain. So this is a situation we get into with your niche commanders. Garrison, we're going to find out how good David is. I'd probably put Toku back here a little bit. Gorgo's still more effective, and you want to invest in her before you do Toku. You can do Toku. It's kind of a luxury, but Hector is already providing you everything you need behind Gorgo. You run it single troop type with just infantry. It trades as good, if not better, than Gorgo Toku. So Toku's kind of off the deep end now. There's no sense in getting him now that you have Hector, because what Hector provides that Toku does not is that you can run it with mix. You can literally right now today run a Gorgo Hector mixed, all right, and it doesn't get crushed by the rally. It's like the first time we've had an infantry mixed pairing in a long time that doesn't get absolutely obliterated by the rally. We've been running Gorgo with Hector, and it just gets crushed. It got crushed when Subutai came into the game. It's getting crushed now with Shapur in the game. So I would just advise people, if you have Gorgo and you don't have Toku max yet, just go get Hector if you want to run those infantry garrisons. If you're a Cav main and you're running David, you're going to eventually get Hector. Hector's going to be used with David. So that's just kind of how that works when it comes to those niche commanders. All right, you got Shapur in there. You got basically your 3 rallies right here, and those are commanders that if you're working on because you want to be a rally or you are a rally for infantry, cavalry, or archers, then continue to keep doing that. That's more than fine. Lapu is turning into a better garrison now over Hector, but this is, you're splitting hairs between these two. So most people already have I've said Hector, Hera. You're splitting hairs between Lapu and Hera because Hera's been out so long, most people already have it, so they don't even mess with Lapu, okay? So if you don't have either of these and you want a good mixed garrison, either for your city or to go run in flags and structures, Lapu would be the direction I would go in instead of Hera. All right, you got CY back here. He's getting old. He's doing the healing stuff. He's still serviceable in KVKs, but as an archer garrison, he really needs some help. He needs a good pairing because you run him with Hera, it gets wrecked. You run him with YSS, it gets wrecked. And you can kind of run him with Dido, but he's doing better with Hector. A lot of players are starting to put Hector behind him and see what that does. So there's your CY. Eleanor, great for Arc and OL, but that's about to change because this guy's coming into the game. When David gets here, Eleanor will pretty much be phased out completely. Skill damage Cav in the garrison, not going to work anymore. But right now on your city, between her and Matthias, you get these instant procs. You can do some cool stuff with those two. So I've also put Henry in here, and then here's what I put for my Canyon junkies, okay? Niche Trajan, you can run him in Canyon. He's still wonderful in Canyon. At the highest level, you see all the best players running Trajan in Canyon. He's a luxury. Don't go invest in Trajan. You can run him on the dailies and just get him for your Canyon if you want. But if you're going to do that, I would do Shajar first. If Shajar this is where she shines. She does so much healing. She gives so much tankiness to archers. I run a Chin Shajar on my Canyon, and this is at the highest level. First of all, guys, I love running Lost Canyon. I love running Sunset Canyon. And you see here, I just chill here at the first, second spot. People hit me on, Putin's hit me a ton of times. This guy probably hits me like 15 times a day. And what I run is I put the Shajar behind Chin, tankiest march in the game, hands down, not even close. And people just absolutely hate my Canyon lineup when I put Shajar behind Chin. All right, if you don't put him behind Chin, you can put Shajar behind Trajan. Peace and Addy and a couple of the others, they put Shajar behind Hermit in Lost Canyon with 6 marches, and it does really, really well. So that gives you an idea when it comes to the viability of Shajar in Canyon. So that's about it. Now, some people like to put Shajar with Chin in the open field. They go run that in the altar. They keep it sustained and alive for a long time. But then again, guys, that's not really a product of Shajar. That's just Chin. Chin's going to take any archer commander. You could put a markswoman with him, and he's still going to go trade really, really well. That's how powerful he is. So this gives you the idea. So to sum all this stuff up, all right, Chin must have, like literally stop what you're doing, invest in Chin. That's your first priority. Everybody's first priority. You have to. It almost doesn't matter what else is going on your account. This is the guy you got to go invest in. From there, Achilles coming into the game, I put him just a smidge above BQ and Luce just because he is going to be really, really good for a long time. And these are must-have commanders. These are the ones that you really want to focus on. All right, which is a good because between Chin, 2 cavalry commanders, 2 infantry commanders, they kind of spread it out a little bit. All right, your A-level commanders, if you've got all these done, then these 3 are the ones I would invest in next. Okay, they provide great serviceability. They're going to be in the game for a while. Philip's still got some time left in his arc as a really good meta commander as far as in the meta game late. And then obviously with Hector. And then you've got Zuge and Herman, who I put right above the dailies. And then you got your dailies down here. These are commanders you can just go work on the dailies. If you've got some tickets to spend, you go spend to get a tiered ticket level and get some rewards. You can do it for Wallace, YSG, Ash. You can't get Ash on the wheel, can't get Attila on the wheel, but you do it for Ragnar, Huo, Joan, Belly, William, CJ, CPO. You can spend for all the rest of these guys. All right. But the dailies, just go knock it out. And then you got your niche commanders down here at the bottom. So that kind of gives you an idea to where you're like, okay, Chatsky, I needed to know, how good is Gang Gang? How good is he? Is he better than Achilles? And that was the biggest question. People waited on Achilles because I wanted to see Gang Gang. And since Gang Gang is single target and provides a bunch of healing and stuff, he goes in the A category because he's not as powerful. Doesn't do near the damage that Achilles does, and Achilles will be doing in the game for a long time. So out of those 2, I'm telling players, everybody's telling players, definitely invest in Achilles before you invest in Gang Gang. And so that's kind of the takeaway from this when it comes to the investment tier list, exactly what to do and how to do it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, throw a thumbs up on it. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and this provides you some good context and good application for your accounts. And with all that being said, y'all have a great day, broskies.
I don't chase trends, I ride what hits. Old war code and my cavalry kicks. Still roll strong with the Tiller's name. That ghost rides hard in the modern game. Call me Cap Simp, I don't flinch. Built by grit, don't need a clinch. What wins stays, I test and go. If it breaks the line, then I ride that flow. Hey yo, you feel that snap? Blade running straight through the map. Face taking fire, no step back. Built for the front, never off track. Swarm everything, we don't delay. You get to the front, clear that way. Join counter rally, let it explode. Best KP you get, just lock and load.